Alright guys, good afternoon and welcome to another technical analysis update. Today is the 18th of July 2022 and it's just coming up to 2:30 p.m. here in the UK. So I'll just do the usual checks and make sure that everything's working. Audio is working. And video is working. Okay, cool. So let's just crack straight on. So as you can see, really pretty much the whole of the crypto market is in the green with very few exceptions. You'd have to go really down to sort of some unknown coins that are probably not even on the top 100 to see some that are in the red. The great majority of it is in the green, as you can see. The same can be said for the stock market. As you can see, the great majority of it is in the green with very few exceptions. So yeah, it's all looking like a healthy bounce, and we'll look at the calendar to see what else in terms of volatility can we get for this week. So in terms of the Federal Reserve for the United States government, there is really not much going on this week. Okay, so this week we've got the unemployment claims, we've got a manufacturing index, we've also got some the flash services PMI. These can be a little bit sort of tricky, but it's not enough to cause extreme volatility in the market, I don't think. Okay, so even though this one's in the red here, it's basically it measures the level of diffusion index based on surveyed purchasing managers in the service industry. So this is released every 3 months and stuff. I don't think this is very significant. However, we do have a few things happening with Great Britain, for instance. In England, we've got the CPI. The governor of the Bank of England is also speaking on Tuesday, so tomorrow. And today is obviously a bank holiday in Japan, and there's not a lot going on today. Next week, however, and I will cover this in a little bit more detail, we've got a lot going on with the Federal Reserve. Okay, so especially this one here, which is the Federal Reserve meeting, the FOMC meeting, okay, and the press conference. Of course, this is going to be addressing the inflation and how aggressive their stance will be towards the interest rates hikes. So we'll have to see if they stick to the 0.75%, so 75 basis points interest rate hike, or if they're going to increase it to 1%. So it really depends. And then we've also got the core PCE price index. Either way, I think the expectation is already that on this FOMC meeting, because the CPI print was it was quite elevated. The whole inflation thing, it was quite high. It was higher than expected anyway, hence why we saw a pullback. The market is priced in now. The Federal Reserve hiking the interest rate by 1%. So, we've got 75 basis points. So if they do 100 basis points this time, it's already priced in. If they don't, because some members of the Federal Reserve said it's a possibility with keeping everything on the table, and others are saying no way, there's never going to be 100 basis points. So whatever happens, if it's already priced in, if the worst case scenario is already priced in, then it's likely that it'll be a positive outcome, which means that any volatility will be sort of to the upside, because really the 100 basis points is already priced in. So if they just come out and say, well, it's 75 or 50 basis points or whatever, because we want to give the economy a chance to recover against the high inflation, then it's going to be good for the markets and it's going to pump it. So the expectation is the worst case scenario, and that's already priced in. So I wouldn't be too worried about this. But the only thing that is worth noting is obviously there's going to be extreme volatility round about this time. Okay, so we'll just have to wait and see how they sell off the balance sheet, and if they're still doing unloading all of their balance sheet and stuff, and we'll just have to wait and see. But I'll cover this in a little bit more detail once I learn a little bit more. I've been out of the markets and I've been not looking at charts for the last few days, so I need to sort of like educate myself a little bit and just get some really solid sort of information so that I can sort of relay it to you guys. But my understanding of it as it is now, like I said, is that the worst is priced in already, the 100 basis points. And of course, the expectation of that is that the Federal Reserve will come out with 100 basis points. If they do, and that's the worst case scenario, the markets can still rally because that was the expected rate. If, however, the rate is even softer than that and it comes out at 75 basis points, then of course it's going to rally because it's more positive and less bearish or less hawkish, if you like, than what was expected. And therefore, the markets will rally as a result. So this is perhaps why we're starting to see a turn in the markets, and this is why perhaps we're seeing everything in the green in the stock market and also in the cryptocurrency markets. Okay, so let's move on to the charts, and I'll start here with the S&P correlation chart. And looking at that, you can see that it's very closely correlated still, okay? So a little bit more volatility. You can see here that the S&P had that sort of, we analyzed this a couple of weeks ago, where basically the S&P was rallying and yet Bitcoin wasn't. It was just kind of going down whilst the S&P was kind of like printing higher highs, and yet Bitcoin didn't. But you know, we finally caught up with it, and now here we rallied, and so did Bitcoin, of course. Then we kind of dropped, and so did Bitcoin, of course. And now that we're rallying on the S&P, we're back to rallying again. So the correlation is alive and well, and this is basically on the 1 hour chart. You can look at it on the 4 hour chart. It's very, very similar. Of course, there's a little bit of a discrepancy there, but we've definitely caught up with it. And like I said, even on the 1 hour chart, it's fairly visible that it's very closely correlated. So as long as it's okay in the traditional markets, on the legacy markets, if you like, then I think we're going to be okay on Bitcoin as well, and start taking some of the higher levels. Okay, so first and foremost, let's start with the S&P, and I'll start with the weekly chart here. And again, last week I'd kind of highlighted this this very important level, which is basically the value area low of the 2021 VWAP here, right? And of course, this is resistance until proven otherwise, and we've been really struggling to try and get above that. However, the previous week, so the week that that's just gone, which is this one here, you can see that it looks very, very bullish. It's a really nice pin, a nice shadow underneath that candle. This is a bullish candle. Of course, the market was all the way down here, and it rallied towards the end of the week all the way up here, okay? And it closed somewhere around about 3,860 points, and now we're up to 3,895 points, okay? So of course this area here, 4,000 points, remains in contention. It's a low volume area, so it's obviously going to be a little bit of it's going to be resistance, and very strong resistance at that, of course, and it has perfect confluence with the value area low of the developing year's VWAP. Okay, so this is the year VWAP, the one that's currently developing, the 2022, and this is the value area low, and of course it has perfect confluence with those low volume nodes. And as a result of that, I expect this to be very strong resistance. Okay, so even if the market rallies all the way up here, which would be really nice for Bitcoin, because that means we can start taking some levels to the upside, especially if the correlation continues. Even if we did rally all the way up here, which is a significant rally, it's a nice rally, this is a weekly chart, don't forget, it's still not enough to change market structure. Okay, to change market structure, we want to see a rally way above 4,200 points. Okay, we want to get to at least the developing year's VWAP. All right, and this is basically obviously to change market structure. Okay, so this is the previous high. We've been doing lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and now what we need for it to change the trend, if you like, would be a change in market structure. Well, we're not seeing any evidence of that, as we are struggling just to get above here for now, right? So even if we do go all the way up here, don't get overexcited and think, okay, this is the bull market, we're going to $100 million now for Bitcoin or whatever. It's not the case, okay, because obviously we're going to find strong resistance here. So we'll just have to keep an eye on this, and I'll do this sort of like, we trade level to level anyway, but I'll do these technical analysis 3 times a week. So we can keep a close eye on this, and I will keep you guys updated. Now, the lows, the last low that we printed is very significant here. We basically printed a low and bounced on the 2020 value area high. Okay, so this is a significant level. And of course, the trend stalker, which is basically a 200 exponential moving average, and this is the 200-week exponential moving average because on the weekly chart, and you can see here that it acted as support. It's acted as support here. This is, I think this is March 2020 with a COVID dump. This was a black swan, if you like. So there's unexpected events there with a whole lockdown. Is unprecedented events. Okay, but you can see that historically the 200-week has been acting as support throughout. You know, so and this, like I said, it's on the weekly chart. So again, it's no surprise that we come all the way down here. We find ourselves on the 200-week exponential moving average, and also on the value area high of the 2020 VWAP, and of course we rallied. Okay, so where we are, this is basically the past. That's what's happened already. Now what we're doing, we're trying to get back inside the 2021 value area, right? So we fell out of this balance area. You can argue that this is a balance area here, right? So this is the first balance area. We also had another volume cluster here, which you could argue that is yet another balance area here, right? So at the moment we kind of tested the lows and we're on our way to the highs. Basically we're on our way to this level here, right? But we're at the moment struggling to get just inside the balance of 2020, okay? So the value area low. So what does this mean? If we cannot get back above there, then I think we're going to go print new lows, because basically we got rejected here, yes, but at the moment, you know, it looks like we're getting rejected here, right? If you look at this objectively on the daily chart, right, it does look like we're hovering at resistance. It's getting closer and closer and closer. Okay, so the rejections are smaller and smaller heading into this value area low here. Okay, so you know, you could argue that this is definitely bullish. Okay, and of course I would agree with you, especially when you look at the previous week's candle. Okay, so this candle here, like I said. So you know, I think I personally think that we're definitely on our way to this level here, which is perfect confluence here with the 4,000 points value low volume node here, and then we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. Of course, if we do rally up there, that means a significant rally for Bitcoin as well, so that would be positive for everyone. Okay, of course it's not the be all and end all unless we break the market structure, like I said, around about 4,200 points. Okay, so that's the S&P. There's no point of doing the lower time frame thing. I mean, you know, here on the daily chart you can see that it's basically, I've just run over what we've just covered here on the weekly is plenty. Okay, so again, like I said, this is the previous high, and until we break above that, there's no change in market structure. Okay, so we're still in a downtrend unless we break that, and like I said, 4,200 points is the level that you want to look at for the S&P. Okay, on the Nasdaq it is very much the same scenario. Okay, so let's have a look at the weekly just to have an idea of the higher time frame. Now we are testing currently just the edge of this high volume cluster here. Okay, so this is a high volume cluster. We've been rotating inside of there. Okay, so we tested here. We've tested the volume. Sorry, just try that again. With this, we tested this lower edge. Okay, so we tested the lower edge of the high volume cluster, right? So we've tested this HVE. Now we've rotated. We go back to the top, and we're testing this HVE. Note how it has perfect confluence with the value area low of the developing years VWAP. Right, so this is significant resistance. Of course, it's got a low volume node there, and it's a weekly level because we've been trying to get above this level for quite some time here, for 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks now. Okay, but judging by last week's candle, again, just like we see on the S&P, you can see this really long big wick here, which means that there's definitely momentum to the upside. Okay, so on the Nasdaq it's a little bit more forgiving. If we do break above this, the next high volume cluster is this one here, right, and that would bring us all the way up to the yearly VWAP. All right, round about 13,560 points. All right, this is, you know, significant level here. This is previous support, right? Support, support, support. When we break down and go back to it, this is going to be resistance. So no illusion. Okay, plenty of levels telling you there that that's going to be resistance, right? So there's going to be loads of people taking profit here, or perhaps selling and going short in the legacy markets, because we're all seeing the same thing, right? And of course, it's the yearly VWAP, it's a low volume area, it's the value area low of the 2021 VWAP, and it's a historical level of support that has not been tested as resistance as yet. Okay, so basically it's a little bit more forgiving because we're so close to the value area low and very close to the yearly VWAP, but at the same time we're also a little bit closer to resistance than we are on the S&P. Okay, so and also note that the 200 exponential moving average that had been acting as support for quite some time, especially here on the 2020, March 2020 for the COVID dump. And you can see here that we've basically been above that 200 weekly. In fact, it's not been tested many times. It's not as efficient on the Nasdaq as it has been. So they probably got the 100 exponential moving average on the Nasdaq, but you can see that the 200 here got tapped perfectly in March 2020 and it acted as support, and here we are basically just tested it again and it's acted as support as well. Okay, so again, what I'm looking for here on the Nasdaq is basically to stay above these levels, break above resistance, which is this low volume node here. We don't want to see it come all the way back down because there is a correlation with Bitcoin here as well, but they're all correlated, the S&P and the Nasdaq as well. So what would be nice to see is the Nasdaq leading this and breaking market structure here by testing the yearly VWAP. Okay, so printing a higher high and basically a change in trend dynamics. Okay, it's not definitely it's not, a change in market structure is not as significant unless we print a higher low, because this was a high, then we came up here, printed a higher high, right? So this is a high, we printed a higher high here, and then we still went on to print a lower low. So if that's just half of the story, is breaking above this, then the other half of the story would be to come down but print a higher low, so higher than this one. All right, so again, I will keep you guys updated on this. What is obvious is that the correlation is still very much alive, and Bitcoin is just kind of a leveraged beta play on both the S&P and the Nasdaq. So with that shit out of the way, let's move on to Bitcoin and let's have a look at the important stuff. And the important stuff that I'm talking about is this weekly level here. So we start on the weekly chart, and you can see here that for the first time in 4 weeks, right, we broke above this weekly level here, the weekly close, okay, at $21,022. All right, you could have had a clue about this over the weekend. As you can see here, we've got this very long wick here, and that's basically how the week of last week ended up. We were all the way down here at around about 18,500, and we still, sorry, 18,800, and we still ended up all the way up here at resistance. Okay, today of course we smashed straight through it, and now we're on our way up. Okay, so the next weekly level is all the way up here at $29,400, but there are plenty of levels in between that I think are worth noting, and we'll have a look at that on the smaller time frames. The closest one for now is this $22,500 level. Now, if I look at this on the daily chart, just to put it into perspective, right? If you look at this on the daily chart, you can see we've got a significant order block here, and that's a very high volume. So positive delta volumes, because it's a blue candle there, right? So there was a high volume in buying, and you can see by the length of the wick as well that there were significant buyers at these levels. Okay, and of course we have tested it here, all right, but we couldn't get above that daily level, the daily close, right? $22,552, okay, on Bybit. So let's say 22,500, and so we've tested it once, we've tested it twice now. And it really depends if we can break above this. If we can break above the $22,500 level, you can see that this is a very low volume, very thin liquidity all the way down here, right? Very thin volume, thin area of liquidity. So I believe it will be very quick for Bitcoin to come all the way up here to 28,000, 28,500. My personal opinion, this is not financial advice. I'm just telling you as sort of like from what I'm looking at from my observations. Okay, again, like I said, thin area, it's like a void in liquidity, and because it's a void, there's not going to be much in the way of resistance there. You can argue that there are little pockets of resistance there, especially if we kind of highlight this like this, right? So now you can see the little pockets of liquidity here, and you can see that we've got a little bit of a balance area here just above that daily level, right? And then there's a low volume node around about $25,000, okay, 25,500. So that again will be where when the market bounced here as well. Okay, so this is a previous level of consolidation there. It's not much, but it's definitely there, right? So around about $25,000 should be resistance as well going up. but with enough momentum and enough impetus, I think Bitcoin has the potential to actually smash straight through that and go straight to $28,500, especially if we have a decent pullback and bait in all of the shorts. Okay, and with a lot of shorts, that just adds fuel to the fire. Basically, like a pullback, let's say a pullback all the way down here to 20,500 or something, it would pull in all of these shorts, and then boom, short squeeze could definitely send, especially with the cascading liquidations, all the way to 28,500. This is a narrative. Okay, you have to pay attention to this level of $25,000. $25,000 would be the next level of resistance on the way up. Okay, so I'm just kind of like illustrating on the higher time frames here what you should be looking for, right? So again, like I said, we're looking at this low volume node, 25,000. If we do break above the 22,500 level, okay, you can see here previous level of consolidation here. Okay, that's basically what formed this high volume cluster, and the edge of that high volume cluster is exactly where we are right now, just above that daily level. Okay, so as long as we can break above this, I think we've got a very good chance to going all the way to $25,000, then maybe getting a little pullback, but then going perhaps all the way to 28,500. I mean, we could definitely come all the way to $25,000 and then just kind of like drop back down again. It really depends, right? So that's why I'm saying if you're going long here at resistance, which I do not advise, you should be going long down here. But if you do go long and you manage your risk properly, so for example, if we do something like this, break above this, you can definitely go long, put a little stop just below that level, take profit here at 25,000 and ultimate target 28,500. If it comes all the way up here and rolls over, well, you've taken profit. Hopefully you'd have moved your stop loss a little bit just underneath where you've taken profit, and then boom, you're out of the trade and you've done a nice scalp. However, you do have to exercise caution and good risk management, because like I said, if it goes all the way up here and you get greedy and do not take profits and comes all the way back down, then you could potentially find yourself on the wrong side of the trade. Okay, so just keep an eye on that. All right, this is significant on the higher time frames. This is a significant level of resistance, 28,500. I'm not convinced that we'll even tap this weekly level if we do go all the way up here. Okay, so 28,500 is a significant level because it's also the edge of this high volume cluster here, and you know, its previous level of support, as you can see here, right? And we've broken down from it and we've not tested it as resistance. So that's a high probability trade, and that's, if we do get all the way up there, that's definitely a short for me anyway. Okay, and I'll probably do something like this. I'll put a short like this run about here, right? And I'll put my stop just above that weekly level there, and I'll be targeting basically the range lows down here. Right, that's basically a 3.6 hour trade, right? You know, because you know, price can definitely do something like this, come all the way up here, and then continue lower, right? I mean, in terms of trends wise, right? Even if the bear market's not finished because of this recession or whatever, trend wise, it's still printing lower highs, right? This is a previous high. So let me just delete these brush marks, right? So even if we were to do something like this, that's not taking this one here. This one here is the one that we need to break in order to say, okay, fair enough, the bear market is over, right? We need to break above this, confirm that this is support, print a higher low, and then move up, right? So, but to be honest, actually just breaking above this and then printing a higher low would be good enough for me to go long, right? But like I said, we could go all the way to $29,000, 28,500, and still roll over and go much lower to 12K. So I still think that this level here is an anomaly around about 17,500, and I still think that we could be going lower. So I do apologize for the clickbait on the title, but the bulls are definitely back. I mean, if you look at the weekly chart, there's no two ways about it. I mean, this is a very, very bullish weekly close here last week, and this is a very, very bullish weekly open. All right, so again, that's just on the higher time frames. If I look here on the shorter time frames on a 4-hour chart, you can see that basically we've, you know, this was like this has been the range for forever now, right? Since June, right? So here we tapped the highs, we came back to the value area low at the time, which is previous. This, you know, let's just have a look here. So the value area low would have been right there, right? So, at the time, this would have been, there you go, like that. So we came up here, there was a low volume node there, we couldn't get the highs, right? Came back down, tested the value area low, then we went up, tested the value area highs, you can see that there, right? Value area high. Where do we go to? We bounced here on the point of control, couldn't get above that weekly level, came all the way back down. When you move, this was a severe sort of pullback. When you move your chart across like that, you can see that we'd lost that value area low, right? So a lot of people got trapped, well, not trapped, but got convinced that we were going to go much lower. I was convinced, definitely, right? And then we had that short squeeze at the beginning of the month, right? So the 1st of July, there was that big short squeeze with basically the reset of all the VWAPs, right? So anyway, moving forward, let's say that, for example, here we pumped all the way to the top there. We got straight above that value area high, right? We deviated above the value area high, came back below, could not get above it, boom, straight to the other side. At the value area low, we couldn't get below this weekly level, so we rallied, okay? We tested here first, the edge, right? So we reclaimed that, see that there? We reclaimed back inside the value area low, confirmed that that as support, and it rallied, confirmed that the point of control was also support, and we rallied, went all the way to the value area high, came back to the point of control, and today we rallied yet again, and now we're at this daily level here. So now, if we are sort of like cool-headed about it, right, we're basically at resistance. Do you want to go long at resistance? I certainly don't. It feels very uncomfortable going long here. Okay, here really you should be thinking and looking at order flow to try and see if we're going to get accepted back inside of this range. So let me just do that a little bit better, right? So if we get accepted back below 21,500, right, 21,400 or something like that, it's imperative that we get out of there pretty quick, right? Because if we start stalling here around about 21,700 and starts rolling over, then for me that's a short position, right? And then I don't even care about this weekly level here. As you can see here, it wasn't that well respected, right? So I wouldn't even be caring about that. I would definitely go short there, especially if we get accepted below. I put stops above the previous high, and I'll be targeting the bottom of the range down here, right? So that's if we accept back below $21,700, okay? If we do not accept back inside of that, right, even if we pull back a little bit like this, come all the way up here, and then rally from there, then I would be a little bit more keen of taking a long position from here, right, from the edge of this the value area high of this range, right, and then maybe take profits at this daily level just in case we kind of roll over anyway, right? But at resistance, I really don't like taking long positions, okay? So I've not traded this very well. I've been too busy. I've been away from the charts. So really, I should have gone long down here. Down here, I even got spooked and sold all of my spot position, just for full disclosure, right? So, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not here to give you financial advice. I'm just analyzing the chart and telling you what the chart's telling me right now, okay? So that you can form your own opinion based on your conclusions, right? You can take other people's opinions, and this is just my opinion. You can take other people's opinions to kind of like maybe compare it with yours and see, oh yeah, I hadn't spotted that. I didn't know about this, or I didn't know about that. But I'm not a financial wizard. I'm not telling you what the future's going to happen. I haven't got a fucking crystal ball. I'm just telling you that right now we are at resistance, and this is, potentially an area for shorts, right? Like I said, it does look very bullish, especially in the higher time frames, right? We are looking for 28,500, potentially 25,000 as a midpoint to take profit. But I want to see a clear break above this daily level here, 22,500. Right now, there's other things as well on this lower time frame that kind of like make me think that that potentially we are at resistance. Well, first of all, let me just put the bullish sort of scenario first, right? First and foremost. Okay, so now here we've got a very clear trend channel here, right? So let me just make this a little bit brighter so you guys can see. right? So we've got a very clear sort of trend channel here. So like I said to you guys last week, I think the technical analysis I did on Friday was a little bit better than the one on Wednesday. So I highlighted this, okay? So there's 3 taps here at the range highs, and there's like 4 or 5 taps of the lows. So this is good enough for me. That's confirmed to me that that's definitely a trend channel. Now, we struggled with a halfway point here, but we managed to get above it. We kind of like rotated a little bit, got volatile, and went straight back up. We're very close to the top of that as well, right? So we're very close to that resistance. So we see sometimes, you guys hear us, if you're in the group, you'll hear us talk about the SFP. This is a swing failure pattern. We could potentially break above this daily level here, right? Tap these highs here, then start rotating here, and people will be very, very bullish. It baits in all of the bulls. But if, like I said, if we accept back inside here, that level there, and cannot get back above it, then this is a short position all day long, right? So again, of course, you know, I showed you this like this, right? Basically, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do it this way, parallel channel like this, right? So if we come all the way down here and then bounce, then great. Although if we come all the way down here and then get back inside of this valley area and cannot get back up again, then that means we're screwed, right? So if I take this off and put the parallel channel on, you can see that basically this midpoint is a contention point here, around about 21,500. So we could definitely potentially see a bounce here, right? And then still aim for those levels there. But on the lower time frames, it becomes a little bit tricky. And it becomes tricky because you're thinking that this is going to go up, right? We're saying it's only because we don't want to miss out on the fact that this could be the run to 28,500, right? So now you start thinking, well, where do I put my long? Where do I put my short? For me, it's very simple. Up these highs here, I am looking for shorts. The only way that I'm going to go long is if we clean break above this, like I said, right? A clean break above this daily level. Even if we test it like this, get straight back up again, then I'm quite happy to go long at around about 24k and then aim for that 25k and then 28k, okay? But I need to see clear signs of that. The other thing for me, so I've started with the higher time frames and the bullish case scenario. On the lower time frames, we start seeing other things, okay? So what I've got here is basically a fib speed resistance fan, right? And basically what I've got this, the fib speed resistance fan is something that is used usually to kind of time the markets and it kind of use the Fibonacci and time together, right? So I'll perhaps do a little video on how to use these or whatever, but I found these quite useful in the past and I've forgotten all about them, but it definitely adds confluence to your levels, right? It's not something that I use on its own, but it adds confluence to your levels. Now, what I'm looking at here is basically I've anchored it from the swing high there all the way down to this swing low, right? And I can do this again just so you guys see what I'm doing here. So I'll put the magnet on, go from this swing high here, go all the way to the swing low, and now it gives me 3 levels here. I've got the 618, the 66, and the 0.75. Okay, now the 0.75 is basically the invalidation, is basically resistance in my opinion. Okay, the 66 and the 618 are always kind of like you can see here how the price respected it so well, right? Came in, could not get above that daily level, and then we got back inside it, and look at where it bounces inside of that levels, right? So it kind of formed like a channel here, right? You can see it there. We got a little channel there. You can try this on sort of like significant moves on the 1 hour chart or the 4 hour chart, not on the 5 minute chart, right? But the important thing that I'm trying to highlight here is that we've got the 75 right where the intersection of this daily level is, right? So we've got the range highs, right? The parallel channel range highs. We've got the daily level. We've also got the 75 or the 0.75 of the Fibonacci speed fan, right? And of course, if you remember what we were talking about, we've got that daily order block there as well, okay? And a low volume node just above us, right? So there is a lot of confluence here telling us that this is resistance until proven otherwise. Okay, so 22,500, 23,000 is definitely resistance until proven otherwise. Are you going to long at resistance? No, I don't want to see. I'm not anyway. I don't want to see. I don't want to enter long positions at these levels. Okay, it's just my personal opinion. Okay, I think we need a decent pullback, and then I'll be thinking about going long. Now, if we were to look at pullbacks, let me just take this off a second, and we're looking at the 4-hour chart. I'm sorry if this was kind of a little bit long-winded, but I'm just trying to explain to you like my sort of my reasoning behind it. Right, so I'm looking at the value area to look at those pullbacks, right? So the first pullback that I'm looking at is this here, the previous range high, right? So this is basically where the 200 exponential moving average, which has been acting as resistance, and it's now below price. Okay, so around about $21,700 should act as support. If that doesn't hold as support, then we're looking at $21,000 here, that weekly level, as potential support as well. And then we've also got 20,500, which is a range point of control, as potential support. However, like I said before, and this is the idea, right? If we come all the way down here and we do not bounce on this first level of support here, right? If we do not bounce on this first level of support here, then we're basically stuck back inside this range. So we're likely to go and test this level and this level here, at least. Okay, because this here, like I said, is the range point of control, and once we enter a new balance area, the only thing that can disturb us from going to the other side of the range is that point of control. So if we accept back inside of this range, there is a strong possibility that we go all the way down to 19,600. The only thing that can stop it is the $20,500 level. Okay, so this is the implication. It's getting complicated here, but it's basically how it is. We want this level of support here to hold, right? This is a decent area for you to go on a long scalp here, right? But of course it's dangerous because we could just go here, it looks like it's going to bounce, then we get below it, and then you're screwed, right? Because now we're inside the range and we could be going lower. So this is tricky here. So for me, and the best thing is to actually wait and see what happens, right? Now we've definitely got potential on the higher time frame to rally, and if if that's the case, right, break above here, then yeah, great. Wow, we've rallied, we're back above this range high here, and you know, we're probably going to go to 28,500, at least 25,000. So that's great, but we should trade level to level. At these levels here, I'm looking at these two levels here as potential levels of support. Okay, so again, 21,700, $20,500 level. Okay, there's also this weekly level here, but I don't think that this one is very significant. We do have the midpoint of this range, but again, that's arbitrary, right? That's just a range, and that's just like a lateral parallel channel that we've just put on. And I'm sure there's loads of people going to be looking at this and saying that this is a bear flag, and of course they could be right. Yeah, so basically we've just kind of had a dump. Now we're just kind of printing this, and that's a bear flag by any means, and then we go lower. So this could potentially be potentially what's going on here, right? Especially if we look at the daily chart. Right, look at that. Look at what happened here, right? We came down, had a dump, come all the way down here, formed a high, took out the previous high, and then dumped anyway, right? So let's have a look at that again. Here, we've dumped, kind of consolidating, we've printed a high. We could potentially print a higher high here, take out these previous highs and all the stops, and then just still dump. Right? So don't lose sight of where we are, right? And this dump was quick, right? So, you know, there's no change in market structure. There's no need to be extremely bullish, but there are some signs, okay? Like I said to you guys last week, there was the moving averages on the higher time frame that printed a pi cycle bottom here. We've also gone finally above the 21K weekly level, right? But we're still struggling to get above this $22,000 level. Okay, that's, you know, that's a worry. Of course, even if we do go all the way up here, right, or even if we just go to this level here, $25,000, that would take out the previous highs, and then we could still dump. So just be careful what you're doing here, right? So there's no change in market structure yet. Until we actually break above $32,000, there's no change in market structure. All right, if we can break above 32K, right, and then stay up here like that, then yeah, definitely we've printed a higher high finally on the higher time frames, and it does look like we're going to be taking out the previous high, and it's a change in market structure. At the moment, I'm just trying to advocate caution here. Yes, on the higher time frames, it does look bullish. Like I showed you here on the weekly, we finally broke a weekly level. It does look like we want to test a previous level of support here and turn to resistance. So we've got a nice big potential for a nice big rally here at 28%, right? So we've got potential for that, but let's not lose sight of what we're doing here on the lower time frames, right? Because, you know, like I said, we could just really sort of completely shoot ourselves in the foot, just like people did here, right? Look at this. Consolidation, consolidation, consolidation. We printed a few highs here, come all the way up there, go above the weekly level, take out all of these stops, and then go back to that weekly level again, right? And then just boom, and just dump from there. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities to spot that, of course, just like we had here, right? Previous high, we took out the high, and then it faked back down again, and you think, oh shit, we're back in the range again, we're going to dump. Yeah, it comes all the way back up there, tests that weekly level and the 200 exponential moving average, then we dump. So, you know, again, we could be seeing that same thing play out here, right? Could be coming all the way to 25K, and then sort of come all the way back down, test this level here, and then dump, right? So we'll keep a close eye on the markets for you, and we'll just try and keep these technical analysis updates fairly simple, but like looking at all the possibilities, right? So the long and the short of it basically is that at the moment we are at resistance. Yes, it looks very bullish on the higher time frames, but so it did here. So the bulls are definitely back. There's definitely bidding going on. There's definitely somebody pushing the price up, but we're not completely out of the water yet. Okay, there's no change in market structure. You know, we haven't even tested the previous level of support here, so there's no need to be excited and say that this was definitely the bottom. Yes, there is a little fucking indicator that tells us that this is the bottom here, but you know, I showed you guys last week that these bottoms get taken out as well. Okay, so we could definitely just dump all the way down here, take out the previous low that I've been raving on about for months now, for weeks, take out that previous level and then rally. So, you know, let's just try and keep calm and keep objective. Okay, so of course I'm happy to be wrong, and if this actually does rally above here, I'm happy to take a long position, right? And I'll be taking profits at 25,000 and watching it very carefully to make sure that we don't fake to the downside, right? And of course, if it carries on all the way to 28,500, brilliant, fantastic. We all made shitloads of money. Even if it dumps from here, I'm quite happy to take that short, so we make even more money. No problem at all. It's basically just trading level to level. There's no point of deciding, is this the bottom, was that not the bottom, whatever. You know, level to level, right? We've got 25K, we've got 28,500, we've got some levels of support here, right? So, and ultimately this one here, 19,600. Okay, so I hope that is clear. I hope I didn't make it too complex. If, however, right, let me just highlight this for the downside, right, for the bears. Bit of bear porn. Excuse me. So, if we do fall back inside of the range here, right, bounce on this midline here, on the equilibrium of the parallel channel, and then cannot get back above that 200 exponential moving average here, right, it's very likely that we go and test this level here, $20,500. If we cannot stay above that, if we do not bounce there, or if we bounce here, for example, but then fail to get above that weekly level, and it starts going lower, this is the level that I want to bid, and this is basically where I want to go long here, 19,600. You can see that we've already bounced there once, and it's the low volume node of this whole volume cluster here, of the whole range. Okay, so it's the value area low, it's the bottom of this parallel channel. Additionally, there's a low volume node and a very close by weekly level there. So I'm happy to take a long position here. Up here, I'm not. Up here, I'm looking for shorts. So that's basically the bare point I wanted to show you, is that if we do fall back inside of this range, just be mindful that this level here could completely break down. This level here could completely break down, and I'll be looking really at this level here, around about $19,600 for the level to go long. Okay, of course we might not get it. That's the ideal world, but you know, that's basically what I would like to see it happen. The market doesn't care what I like, but that's basically what I'd like to see happen. Okay, if I was to put was it this one? No, it wasn't this one. If I was to put a free retracement tool all the way from this swing low here all the way to that swing high, right, you can see that this area here, basically this area here around about $20,100, okay, is an area of interest. This is basically the 618, or the golden pocket of this retracement of the whole move. Okay, so yes, absolutely, we could come all the way down here and then bounce here, but this is not, for me, this is not enough, because it's not confluent with anything else. I don't see any confluence here, right? If I was to put this, however, if I was to put this all the way down here at the bottom, the swing low, and put all the way this all the way up here to the top there, you can see that basically the price, right? So let's see that we can see the price going from this point onwards. We didn't know what the price was going to do. Well, it came all the way down to the golden pocket here, right? And then bounced from there. So, you know, and where is that level at? That's right, round about this level here, $19,600. Okay, 19,300, 19,600. So that's the level that I'm really interested in trading and going long. But of course, if I see the signs that we've had a nice little retrace here and it bounces here on the point of control, then this is a level that I'd be interested in going long too. Okay, this is basically the point of control, or the highest volume node of this whole cluster here. And of course, that could definitely cause a bounce and disrupt the whole entering the balance. So I'll probably go long here, okay, with a very tight stop, and then just see what happens, because we could definitely roll over here, but we could also just rally from here and go much higher, right? And that might be the pullback that we're all kind of hoping for. So I hope I haven't complicated it too much. We're definitely at a resistance. There's some levels of support down here, namely this one here around about 21,800, another one here at 20,500, and ultimately 19,600. All right, levels of resistance, like I said, 22,500. Then there'll be $25,000 and $28,500 for levels of resistance. Okay, so higher time frame, lower time frame analysis. I hope this is satisfactory to you. I'm sorry it's taking so long to go over it, but I just want to explain everything and why I'm calling out these numbers rather than just telling you those numbers, right? So hopefully you learned something from it. Moving on to Exocharts. Let's have a look at the volume profile. Now at the volume profile, we've got a significant level here. We've got a point of control around about 23,600, right? Now, I'm not sure if we'll get there, but if we see a fake out to the upside, 23,600 is an interesting level, okay? If we look at this here, if the price was to rally all the way to the top of this here, look at where we are, $23,500, something like that, right? 23,400. So again, just keep an eye on this level, 23,600. That's basically, can we do this? No, it won't let me. This is a weird tool. Remove that. Basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to draw this parallel channel here on XO, but I'm not very good at this, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. I would just pay attention to $23,600 level. That's basically where the swing failure pattern could go to, right? So we could definitely go all the way up here, right? Still be well within that parallel channel that we were talking about, and then fake back down again, come all the way to take out this point of control here. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out, right? So again, levels of interest, I've got naked point of control here, 23,500, 23,600, something like that. Then we've got another one, point of control here at $19,800, okay, 19,700 and something. And again, that's very, very close to that low volume node where I'm interested in going long. Okay, so we're basically very close to this one, but we've left a naked point of control behind. All right, so this is significant. Of course, it doesn't have to be corrected, but they usually do. Right, so just keep that in mind. All right, so naked point of control at 19,700. We've got another naked point of control at 23,600. Which one gets hit first? This one or this one? Okay, so that's basically what I'm looking on the volume profile. If I look at the market profile here, and we're looking at a 2-day composite value area here. Okay, if I reset this like this, right? So this was 2 days composite, 2 days profiles merged together. In fact, I'm going to correct this because that's not correct anymore. I'm going to put the composite like this. Right, and you can see that basically the top of this value, this is a balance area, right? So the value area high of this 2-day composite value is basically acting as support now. We rallied straight through that, went above it, and acted as support. Now we've also got the weekly and daily VWAPs, which is basically the same because it's Monday today. We've got the weekly and the daily VWAP holding the price as support at the moment, all the way up here, right? So 21,900. If we accept back inside of there, very much the same story. If we accept back inside of this, somewhere like this, right, and then cannot get back above it, then I think that this is a short position here, targeting at first these levels here, but then also all of these levels down here, right, 20,000, 20,600, 20,500, something like that. So we've got a naked point of control there. We've got a few trap shorts there as well. We've got the monthly VWAP, and we've got a untapped weekly VWAP down here as well, okay, and a daily VWAP untapped as well. So plenty of anomalies below. We've got some poor lows as well. So this down here is a poor low. This down here is also a poor low. In fact, it's easier if I just do it like this, right? This is a poor low here. This here is a poor low, and we've got plenty of trapped shorts down here. So this could potentially act as support, right? We've got a naked point of control there. Look at the price, 19,730, right? 19,600, 19,700. We've got that naked point of control there, right? We've got an untapped daily VWAP here. And we've got also the edge of a previous balance area, okay, of the 4-day composite value area high. Okay, so we could come all the way down here. So let's redraw that. Basically fall back inside of here. If we cannot get back above it, then I'll definitely go short here. I'll be targeting this level here, take profit there, take profit here, and then I'll be closing my trade around about here, 19,600, and I'll be going long there. But this is a very, very decent trade, right? Of course, the invalidation of that is just above this, $22,500, which is above that daily level that we were looking at on the candlestick charts. So I hope that makes sense. If none of that happens and we do not go to the upside, to the downside, then on the upside we've got 23,600, like I said, is a naked point of control. We've got a few VWAP closes that we've not tapped above us, and then we've got 27,350, and we've got lots of liquidity around about 28,000, 29,600, which is basically where we'd been consolidating before. right? So just keep in mind that we've got all these levels above us. It's not just a straight run, even though that's a low volume area here, right? Like I showed you on the candlestick charts. Even though this is a low volume area all the way to 28,500, yes, we could go straight up like that. But looking at here at Exo, you can see that we've got plenty of levels above us, right, that we could potentially roll over on, right? 24,500 and so on, 23,700. So let's just wait and see what happens. That's basically, you can make your bets now. You can just choose what you want to see, but at least you've got some levels that you can decide, right? So basically, accept back below the daily weekly VWAP, and I think we're going to go lower. If we bounce here, then I think we potentially go higher all the way to 23,700 at least, maybe even 25,000, and with a bit of luck, all the way to 28,500. All right, so that's basically the technical analysis update. All right, like I said, 19,600 is a level that I'm interested in going long. So that is it for Bitcoin. Let's move on to Ethereum versus USD, and Ethereum USD looks very, very interesting. Okay, so I start here on the weekly chart. And now, like I said to you guys before, this is a balance area, okay? High volume cluster highlighted by these rectangles. These rectangles like dictate where the edges of these high volume clusters are, all right? So I know that some of you are new to the channel, so that's why I keep going over the same thing. The ones that have been here long enough have heard me talk about this shit all the time, and it's boring as fuck. But it's basically, all it is, these rectangles are just a way to visualize these high volume clusters a little bit better, okay? So the edge of the high volume cluster that we've been on, which is basically this one here, right, has been tapped, the lower edge here. We deviated below, we got accepted back inside, and now we're back at the top here, right? So we're testing resistance for Ethereum. This is definitely resistance here, and we're testing the edge of two balances, right? So this is yet another balance area, right, which is inside the purple area here, and basically the resistance is around about $1,500. We've tested that, and so far that's resistance. If we can break above this and Bitcoin behaves, then I think the next level of resistance will be around about here, $2,000. Okay, even though we do have significant resistance ahead of us with this point of control of the whole range, right? This is the point of control where basically where the most volume was traded throughout this whole time, right? So there's significant resistance there at round about $1,800, right? Value area low of the developing years VWAP, that's the year VWAP. Let me just, right? So we've got the value area low of the 2021 VWAP. We've also got the developing years VWAP value area low, around about the same area, around about $1,800. Excuse me. And on top of that is basically the edge of yet another consolidation area, right? So it's basically here acted as support, 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 right? So it's naturally going to be resistance going forward, right? So even if we do break above this first level of resistance, around about $1,500, you want to look at around about $1,700, $1,800 for the next level of resistance, which is about the halfway point. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so that would be the next range. It'll be something like this. Range in EQ, something like that. We're looking at the midpoint there as a take profit if we're going long, okay? But we are at resistance. If we get accepted back inside, fair enough. This is a long position. You want to be taking profits here and targeting around about $2,000. If we cannot get accepted above, and this is resistance, and we'll be looking at lower targets, perhaps this mid-level here, and maybe even as low as $900 again, just to see if we can get a decent long position. But we'll have to wait and see for that. We're definitely at resistance here now, and we're testing the edge of another balance area, which we haven't done for quite some time now, right? For weeks, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks here. Okay, so that's basically where we are. We're at resistance now here on Ethereum USD, and you know, buying now, it's in my personal opinion, it's a bad move. Okay, I'd wait for a pullback. If we look at that on the shorter time frames here, let's have a look at the 4 hour. I'm going to take that fib retracement off. You can see this is the previous range, right? So deviated from the range low, went to the range high. Deviated above the range high, went to the range low. Range high, range low, range high, and now here we bounced on basically the value area high of this monthly VWAP. Right, you can see this is the value area low of the developing month VWAP. This is the VWAP here, the red line, right? And you can see this little line here is basically where we bounced from. We bounced there, managed to get above the 200 exponential moving average, and here we are now at resistance. Okay, this was previous resistance level here, and now it's been confirmed as resistance. So where does that leave us? Well, basically Ethereum is in a much better spot because we could come all the way back down here again, and it's still not inside of this range. However, if we get below this 200 exponential, excuse me, same story as Bitcoin. If we get back inside of the range again, then it's very likely that we're going to test the lows of the range, right? The only thing that can disturb that is the midpoint or the point of control. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that one. But you can see here that we're at resistance here. We've got a low volume area here around about $1,400. We've got a low volume area around about $1,300. So these are all potential levels of support here. So here we could bounce around about $1,400, and we could also bounce around about $1,300. Get below that, and I think that we're going to go much lower. Okay, potentially this monthly VWAP just got confluence with this 1180 low volume node, and ultimately all the way down here to around about $1,000 again. Okay, so again, levels of support, we've got $1,400, $1,300, and around about $1,200. So nice and easy to remember: 14, 13, 12. Okay, and of course failing all of that, and basically if we find ourselves all the way down here, then it's very likely that we get stuck back inside of this range again, right? So ideally what we want to do is we want to bounce here around about $1,300. Okay, round about here we want to bounce. So even if it comes all the way down here, we want to see a nice bounce, break above this, and then we want to see confirming that this previous range resistance here is now support, and therefore we'll be targeting that. That means acceptance. If we get rejected here, that's basically we're getting rejected from this balance area here, right? And that means that usually you get acceptance on the range above, right? And as such, we go higher, okay, and test both sides of that balance to confirm it that it's indeed a new balance area. All right, so I hope that makes sense. So again, don't get sort of distracted with what's happening on Ethereum and on altcoins. Yes, a lot of them are rallying, but just pay attention on Bitcoin, okay? Because like we've seen so many times, we can actually just go do something like this, dump, print a little high there, right? Sweep the lows, test the highs, and basically take out all the stops. It gets everybody to go bullish because they think, hey, the lows got swept, we've just ranged above, now we're going higher, and then still go and print a new low, right? So just don't get distracted, right? This is basically how it happens usually. Range high like that, boom, take out the previous highs here, that's the entry for the short, and then we're targeting new lows. Okay, so just, yeah, this has happened so many times, so just pay attention. Either way, Ethereum is definitely a resistance, and so is Bitcoin. This is definitely the area to look for shorts. Okay, the invalidation is very simple. It's basically acceptance above the new value area, all right, or the previous value area. If we get acceptance back inside the previous range where we've been at, then it's definitely a short position, and we'll be targeting much lower prices. All right, so that's Ethereum versus USD. Let's have a look at Exocharts and see if we can spot any confluent levels regarding that. Okay, so we did leave a nice clean high there. That's good. That's a good sign. All right, we have some single prints above us around about $1,600, $1,700. So there are some single prints there. I highlighted these before as well. Okay, now what I'm interested in here is basically all the anomalies that we see just like we see on Bitcoin as well. Okay, so let me just do this. Right, so anomalies. We've got loads of single prints here, somewhere between $1,250 and $1,300. All of these are single prints, and basically they tend to get filled. We've also got a naked point of control here, around about $1,200. I'm just going to do it like this, it's just a little bit easier. Right, so we've got anomalies, naked point of control here, plenty of naked points of control all the way down here to $1,000, and we've even got one at $960 here, right? These single prints tend to get filled out very, very quickly. So if we go back below the range that we were talking about, which is around about $1,200, $1,300, right? Then you know that these single prints are going to get filled, and potentially we could even lower and take out these naked points of control. So it's imperative that we stay above this level here, $1,320. Okay, so even on a pullback for the bulls, it's imperative that we stay above this. If we cannot stay above that, then of course we're going to take out all of these anomalies down here. Right, so it's basically the same thing that I was showing you on the candlestick charts. Now, of course, we've also got some anomalies above, but they're quite far ahead here. And I'm basically looking at these single prints here between $1,600 and $1,750, and we've also got a naked point of control at $1,930 there. Okay, these are basically from all the way back down here. Okay, this is a previous level of support. God damn it, Exo is a little bit glitchy sometimes. So previous level of support down here, right? This support, rallied, came back, support, rallied, support, and then we broke down from it. We've not tested it as resistance yet. So even if the price comes all the way to that $1,700 level, right, if it comes all the way up here, takes out these single prints, fills them, it could still come all the way back down, and instead it could even print new lows and go to $900, right? So you just have to keep in mind that this is a high probability short. Previous level of support untapped, right? It's not been tested. Support turns to resistance, resistance turns to support. This is a short at $1,700. But it's worth keeping in mind that whatever Bitcoin does, Ethereum will follow. So in fact, it looks like Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin. So, and we'll look at that in just a second when we're looking at the charts. So, or the ETH BTC chart. But I just wanted to keep you guys kind of objectively thinking about this. That, you know, this is definitely not the beginning of it could be the beginning of a bull market, but we're not seeing any indication of that. We're just seeing a little bit of bullish price action. It could be just a relief bounce. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We're a resistance on Bitcoin, we're resistance on Ethereum, and here you should be looking for shorts. Okay, so that's Ethereum USD. Now out of the way, let's move on to Ethereum versus BTC. Now start again with the weekly chart. And this is very interesting. You can see that basically Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin significantly. Look at this, right? So this is ETH versus BTC, not ETH versus USD. And we're basically all the way up to that level that I was talking about, which is around about 70,000 sats, right? 70,000, 68,000 sats is basically where the yearly VWAP is. And here we are. This is significant level of resistance. Now I'm going to show you something. I've got a trend line here dating all the way back from June 2021, right? And this trend line also has not been tested. Okay, so if we were to do it like this, see how close that is to the yearly VWAP. So again, very close to resistance, even on Ethereum versus BTC. This is basically trend line. It's been tapped so many times here, and then we lost it, and we've not tested it as resistance yet. So you see how it's all painting if anything, is painting the picture for the perfect short, right? So let's have a look at the daily level like this, maybe even the 2-day level, perhaps like that is better, right? Take the stalker off. See? Support, support, support here, right? Previous level of support here. Here we lost it, and we did a very sort of like went below it, came back above, could not hold it, came back above it. Here we could not hold it again, boom, it dropped, right? And that trend line dropped. We've not tested this since, and here we are now, very, very close to testing it. What do you think that is? Is that a long position? No, it's a fucking short, right? So unless we break above this like this convincingly and we reclaim this trend line, I'm not interested, right? I want to reclaim this yearly VWAP, right? If we break above, convincingly above 69,000 sats, then I'll be happily going long, right? But this is a short all day long, right? So anyway, levels of support here, levels of resistance there. I have to update these. In fact, I'm going to delete them all together because they're just over complex. There's no point of doing that. Okay, basically we've got resistance here. That's the first level of resistance. The next level of support is run about here, 65,000 sats. Even if we find resistance here, come all the way back down 65,000 sats, which is basically where this value area low of the developing years VWAP is, right? This could hold a support here, right? This level here, which is basically low volume node at 65,000 sats. If that holds as support, then great, we've got a very good chance of going to break this resistance above us. If we fail to hold this as support, then I'm afraid that we're going to go much lower and potentially take out these previous lows here, right about 53,000 sats. I hope that makes it clear. So let's just put some levels there just to make it a little bit clearer, right? So this here is resistance. I'll put another one here as support. Don't know why that's gone thick like that. Could put that as dashed line. In fact, no, I'm just going to keep that as that, but make it a little bit not quite as bright. Okay, next level of support will be, for me, in my personal opinion, around about here. And yeah, the next one right about here, which is basically the yearly VWAP. Right, the 2021 VWAP close. Right, so 3 levels of support. Level of resistance is definitely this one, and of course, if we break above that one, then we've also got this here as a potential level of resistance, and yet another one round about 82,000 sats. Right, but let's not think about that. But at least you've got like 3 levels there, just a little bit easier. You can see that these ranges are formed. Basically, I'm looking at high volume clusters here and the low volume nodes, and you can see how the ranges are formed within, right? So yeah, so just keep an eye on that, right? So this here is the most immediate level of resistance. It's 68,666 sats. So let's say 69,000 sats. Break above that, and I think we've got a very good chance to going to test these levels of resistance. If we cannot break above that, then this here will be the next level of support, and then if we break below that one, then we'll be looking at this one, which is a low volume area here, and this one as the next potential levels of support. Okay, so that's ETH versus BTC. Now I think we can move on and safely move on to the FODL trading pairs, and basically all the DeFi coins that are tradable on the FODL platform. But again, it's worth mentioning that none of these coins and the technical analysis for these coins are relevant if you're not paying attention to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the barometer, and if Bitcoin dumps, everything will dump with it. If Bitcoin pumps, then everything, or the majority of it, bumps with it as well. Okay, so moving on, let's start with FODL versus USDT. And this is FODL versus Tether on OkEx. And we're starting to see little glimmers of hope here, right? So let's have a look at the volume. Where is the volume? Indicators. Volume. Just fucking volume. Where is it? Just normal volume. How is it giving me all this smart volume, different volume, volume flow? Where's just a normal fucking volume? Is it possible? There it is. Fuck, that was hard work. Right. Anyway. you can see that we've lost a little bit of momentum to the downside. That's usually a good sign. We see a nice big buy here on the 28th of June. Now the price is starting to go a little bit sideways. We're starting to see some significant buys here, increase in volume on OkEx, right? You can also see that the price is now not just going downwards, it's kind of going sideways. Nothing exciting. It didn't go all the way to this resistance level just yet, but we're definitely seeing a little accumulation cylinder at these levels, okay? And what I mean by a cylinder is this here. Little bit of consolidation, and that's usually where you see accumulation, okay? And a very good sign of accumulation is these large illiquid wicks here, right? Which is telling me that there's big changes in volume here. Somebody is accumulating on the sidelines here. So usually a good sign of seeing big accumulation candles like this, even though the price has not changed much. You can see, like, you're starting to see accumulation way back in April here, right? But now you see like very strong accumulation here, and also some nice big candles moving into more closer price action here. All right, so again, we're looking at around about 1 cent and a half as level of support, okay? And levels of resistance, I'm not particularly looking at 2 cents, I'm looking at 2.5 here, all the way up here. And that's, again, like I've explained before, just the nature in which the price has come down here. It's very quick, very large liquid candles here, especially, it's very easy to spot that here on the daily chart. Large liquid candle, okay? The accumulation cylinder is basically where the balance area here. So I do expect the price to kind of be rotating sideways like that now. All right, so once we until we break to either side, of course. If we break above this level here, then this level here is going to be significant resistance. All right, and if we break above that one, then the next level of resistance is all the way up here. So even though there was a significant sell here, you can see that there's also significant buyers here at the moment, okay? And the price is kind of starting to curl up. So very good sign for FODL versus USDT here on the daily chart. Let's have a look at FODL versus USDC on on sushiswap. And okay, so nothing really. Still lots of sells on sushiswap. Okay, so this is not the accumulation we want to see on sushiswap. Just plenty of sells here. Somebody panic selling. But we are starting to see a few buys here as well, look. Right, so we'll have to wait and see what happens here. I'll be definitely looking at this level here as significant level of resistance for the same reason that I explained before, which is this is a larger liquid candle, and if we break above this one, it'll be very quick to get all the way to, was that 3 cents, 4 cents, something like that, okay? So this here is an acceleration pad, and if we can break above this like this, price will travel very quickly all the way to that level. Okay, so that's basically FODL versus USDC on sushiswap. Let's move on to FODL versus ETH. Same thing I've already explained here as well last week. We're still seeing FODL losing momentum here versus Ethereum. It's not surprising because Ethereum's looking so strong, stronger than Bitcoin. So basically, FODL is just in free fall here, and all we can do is look at these big round numbers, right? Big round numbers like this one here, right? For potential levels of support. But we're not seeing the change in market dynamics on FODL versus ETH yet. We're seeing it on OkEx, but we're not seeing it here. So basically, potentially this could be a next level of support, but levels of resistance, this one is the most important one here. As you can see, it was previous consolidation. The rest is just large liquid candle, means nothing because as soon as we start rallying, it'll go straight through all of that. Just as quick as it came down, it will go back up again. And this is basically what people call the BART pattern, right? You see it like this, and you see it like this. This is a large liquid candle, this is a large liquid candle, basically reflexivity. So that's FODL versus ETH, and basically we're looking at big round numbers for potential support. Resistance levels, then there's a little bit of resistance here, but this is a significant one all the way up here. Okay, so moving on to Binance versus USD. Now I won't chart any of these coins versus Bitcoin because Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin. So if you should be trading any of these shitcoins, you should be trading them against Ethereum because Ethereum is the best performing asset. So unless these coins are performing well against Ethereum, there's no point in trading them unless you're shorting them. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So here we are. This level here is now potentially a level of support. We had two ranges like I highlighted here within a bigger range, right? But look at how, in context, this is a low volume area here. So I think price will accelerate very quickly all the way up to here. So right now it does look like we're on our way to $290, $285. Okay, and that's potentially the range that we see there. All right, so this here is now null and void, and the range that we're seeing broke above resistance here is basically between these two here, right? So inside of that range, break above that, and then we'll be looking at this level here as the next level of resistance. But as you can see, this is 2021 VWAP close. It's also a previous level of support that is largely untapped, and it's the value area low of the developing year VWAP. So this is going to be significant resistance until proven otherwise. $288 for BNB versus USD. Support $250. So like I said, we'll move on to BNB ETH, right? And just because there's no point of charting versus Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is outperformed at the moment and Ethereum's performing better, so we might as well chart this against the best performing asset just to see if it's worth it. So like I said before, this here is going to be a significant level of resistance. That's why I've put it in yellow. We were above it 2 days ago, but it hadn't been confirmed as support, and of course we came all the way back down again. So this level here now should be support, and this level here should be support as well. So let's delete some of these, just clean this up a little bit, right? I'm looking at this as a range. All right, break below this one here, which is a previous level of resistance, as you can see there, right? Then this level here, the yearly VWAP, and this potential level of resistance, resistance, resistance. You can see that this level here is a very important level. Resistance, resistance, resistance. So naturally, it should act as support. Okay? So two potential ranges forming here, right? This level here, and if that one doesn't hold, then this level here is the level to go long. Okay, 2022 VWAP, previous level of resistance, untapped. I think that's a significant one, but we could definitely bounce here at round about 17 what is that, 0.17 ETH. Okay, so resistance, support, and previous potential support as well. If we break above this resistance somehow, then this is the next level of resistance for you. So that's Binance versus ETH. AAVE USD. Let's have a look at how AAVE is doing. AAVE is doing significantly well, actually. So this here is a previous level of resistance. I could it's not been tested as support, so I'm just going to leave it as orange. See, previous level of support, resistance, resistance. We broke below, broke back above, but we've not tested it as resistance, as support, right? But either way, we broke inside the value area low of the VWAP, and it looks like we're on our way up now. Okay, so this here is going to be significant resistance, the yearly VWAP, right? But judging by the look to this here should be resistance as well. So naturally, the levels that I'm looking for are this one here for support, this one here for resistance. Break above that one, this here is resistance as well. Okay, if we break back below this yellow line here, because we've not been tested as support, then we go to a tested support level, which is this one here at round about $46. So that's AAVE versus USD. Support at $76, resistance at round about $113. It's worth keeping in mind that we're very close to the $100 mark. $100 is likely, because it's a big round number, a lot of people will be taking profits there, especially all the people that were long from $50. So do expect a little bit of resistance here at $50, sorry, at $100, but $113 is the next level of resistance, and then 136 as well. AAVE versus ETH, AAVE being outperformed by ETH. Okay, so again, this is resistance, this is support. I would hope that this range here forms now. Low volume area here. Okay, value area high of the developing years VWAP. Right, so I expect the price to range here, just like it did here. Right, I expect the price to range there. So right about 640 way as support and 750 way as resistance. If we break below that level of support, the next one will be around about 555 way. Moving on to compound versus USD. We're pretty much in the same situation that we were last week when I explained on Friday that we've got two contention levels here. We've got the edge of a high volume cluster, right, on this red line. But we've also got a previous level of support here, which is kind of like has confluence with this low volume node here, right? So you see it's a very tight edge here, right? So we could find support there. So let me just adjust this a little bit. Right, so at the moment we're kind of very tight range inside of here, in between two balance areas. We're in an imbalanced state. At the moment it looks like we're being rejected here, but we've been accepted back inside the value area low. So my expectation is that we go up. Okay, so on compound versus USD, we're finding resistance at around about $60. If we break above that, then the next level of resistance will be $75, $80. Support at the moment is round about the $50 mark. As you can see, it's a low volume node, big round number, and it's also where the value area low of the developing years VWAP and previous consolidation area, which was previous resistance, now turns to support. If, however, we break below $50, then you can expect $36 as the next level of support. Okay, hence why we've got this range here and that range there. I hope that kind of clarifies that. Compound versus ETH. Unsurprising that compound is not really holding up versus ETH, but we're right at support here, right? We're right at the yearly VWAP. So some really nice setups in all of these coins now. So this is resistance until proven otherwise. This here is support until proven otherwise. And therefore, I'll be looking at this as the range. Now, this orange line here, I'm not really holding it. I think I'm going to delete that just because it overcomplicates things. And in fact, I think this one here overcomplicates things as well. So this is a little bit simpler. This here should act as support. It's the value area low of the developing year VWAP. You can see how the price is respecting the value area high. The value area low is respected here as well because we couldn't get back inside it. As soon as we got in, boom, straight to the VWAP, straight to the other side of it. That's what happens when you enter a balance area. Okay, so as this is being respected, I expect this price here to hold as support, this price here to hold as resistance. Okay, if, however, we break below this level here, then I'll be looking at this down here as the next level of support. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Moving on to BAT versus USD. We're still very much in the same situation here. We're kind of struggling to get above this previous level of resistance, which is also the value area low of the developing years VWAP, right? Which is that basically that blue line there. Right, so let's just delete all of this. Just simplify this a little bit. Okay, so previous levels of support here, I'm going to put this as green. levels of support, and ultimately this one here. So I've put it down here, which is the point of control, which is basically where we bounced from, right, as you can see here. Point of control on the 2020 VWAP close. Okay, we've also got the edge of this balance. The edge of this balance area here, the lower edge, and the higher edge will be somewhere around about here. I'll put that as red because that will be resistance. So let's have a look at that now. There we are. So high volume cluster, which is basically where we've been consolidating inside of here. This is the range, or the balance area, if you like. Okay, this is resistance until proven otherwise. This here is support until proven otherwise. Note how the value area low of the developing years VWAP is acting as resistance. Okay, break above that low volume area here. If you break above that, it'll be very quick to get to the yearly VWAP, which is around about 70 cents for BAT versus USD. Okay, so at the moment, resistance is around about 43 cents. Support is around about 36 cents, and therefore we'll be targeting, we'll be ranging around about here like this somewhere. Okay. Break above that, like I said, this is a previous level of interest, so this could be a level of resistance here, and then there's more resistance all the way, definitely up there. Okay, you could even argue that that's the low volume node where you're going to find resistance, but I'll put it on this one because it's closer. Okay, so that's definitely the levels of resistance going forward for BAT versus USD. Moving on to BAT versus ETH, and again, I doubt very much that it's outperforming ETH. It's not. Delete all of these brush marks. Just update the levels. In fact, I'm going to delete all of these levels. See, we're bouncing here. Well, we're kind of testing here the yearly VWAP, right? Okay, so we could not get BAT above the 2021 VWAP close, which is this line here. Right, so let's just put some lines of resistance there. That's resistance. That's going to be resistance there. Note how I'm just highlighting the low volume areas on these. Right, and then levels of support, I'm going to put this one here. Change that to green. I'll put this one here, which is a low volume area. And that one there as well. Now note how these have perfect complements. I'm just going, if you note what I'm doing here. I was trying to highlight. Just going with these low volume nodes here as resistance, edge of the high volume cluster here, low volume node, and the edge of a high volume cluster, right? All of those I've just marked out, and when you look at this objectively and you look a little bit closer, you can see how it all adds up to even the other indicators, right? So this is the first level of support round about here. Okay, which is basically where the yearly VWAP is. The value area low of the developing year VWAP also has complements with that low volume node there, so that's good enough for me as support. Okay, so this is support, this here is resistance until proven otherwise. This is low volume node there, so this is the range that we should be trading in. At the moment it looks like we're at support. If however we break below support, then the next level of support will be this one here, and this will be the range that you'll be trading in. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. If we break above that somehow, then this is going to be the next level of resistance, and then this one here as well. Okay, so that's basically BAT versus ETH. Moving on to Link USD. Link, we're kind of still inside of that range here, right? Just like I said that we would do it there. Okay, so this is basically support. This here is resistance until proven otherwise. We finally broke inside this value area low. As you can see, the shaded area of this 2022 VWAP, right? So we finally broke inside it. Okay, so the next level of resistance will be this one here, and therefore we'll be targeting this range here, right? This large high volume cluster there, right? That's basically what we're looking at. So next level of resistance, $7.80. Okay, let's say $8 for resistance, $7.80. Level of support, $6. Okay, and that's basically what we're looking at right now, between $6 and $7.80. If we break above it, then we're looking at $9, maybe even $10 as resistance. If we break below that $6 support, then we're looking at $5 as support. Link versus ETH, we better update all of these levels now. And in fact, do you know what? I'm going to delete all of these drawings and simplify things again. This is a problem. It's not defined enough. There was too much volume traded below here. This is why I did it like this. Okay, so levels of support. This one's definitely one, which is the 2021 value area low. This here is going to be resistance. I would say that this level here should be support, because it's a low volume area, as you can see there. There's a low volume node there. This is resistance. And there should be another low volume node just here. Like that. Okay, so levels of support and resistance. In fact, I could argue that this one is also a level of support down here. At the moment, we've lost a significant level, which is this yearly VWAP here. Okay, again, remember this is Link versus ETH. So the reason why Link is looking weak is because it's weak versus ETH. It's actually probably doing all right versus USD, just like I showed you, right? On Link versus USD, it's actually going up. Right, if we look at this on the 4 hours, you can see that Link is going up, but because we're trading versus ETH here, and ETH has been looking so strong, it's not surprising that we see Link looking weak versus ETH. Okay, so level of support, I would expect this one here, which is a low volume area, and potentially even this one here, right? And then levels of resistance, this one here. So hopefully the range will be somewhere like that, but we could be going as low as this one down here. So the range could be much higher, like this, or much lower, I mean. Break above that, then this will be the next level of resistance. Note how it is the value area high of the month, of the yearly VWAP. Okay, this level of support down here is the value area low of the yearly VWAP. Okay, so at the moment we're trading in between 4,450 way and 5,700 way. Now Uni versus USD. We're almost at that level of resistance. We've definitely taken that previous level of resistance here that I've just highlighted, right? We've broken above that one, and we're looking at this level here as the next level of resistance. Therefore, we're trading within this arrow here, right? This should be support, this should be resistance, and we're trading somewhere in between like that until proven otherwise. Okay, so we're looking at $6 as support, $8 as resistance. Not much has changed in that level. Uni versus ETH. Of course, it's looking a little bit weak versus Ethereum. So let's just change some of these push marks here. And we didn't even have strength to get all the way up here to a previous level of support here. Previous level of support, we didn't even get all the way up to there. Okay, so I'll be looking at this level here as potential support. since this one has failed, put that as orange. Just because it's a little bit too close, we could still just rally straight above it and go to the next level of resistance. So I'm just going to put it as orange. This here should be support, and so should this one here, which is basically very close to the yearly VWAP, right? So hopefully what we'll be doing is we'll be ranging in here somewhere like that. Okay, break above that one, then this should be the next level of resistance. Okay, so that's Uni versus ETH. At the moment, it looks like constructive price action, like in most coins. It's doing higher highs and higher lows. Right, so as long as they continue to do so, more upside is expected. So it's the same thing with Bitcoin. As long as we keep on printing higher highs or higher lows, then it's buy the dip season until it isn't. Right. So I hope this was useful. I hope I haven't overcomplicated it too much. I hope it helps you stay on the right side of the markets. I will have another TA update for you guys on Wednesday. Hopefully it will be a very short one, and it'll be a very simplified one, and I will do all of these FODL trading pairs on a Monday and on a Friday instead, just to try and keep these a little bit shorter than the 1 hour, 2 hours. Okay, so I hope this was useful. Have a great beginning of the week, and yeah, trade smart, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Take care. Bye bye.